All right, Big Bang. Today is Thursday. It's July 22nd. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Joined on Zoom by Austen, the former Forest Preserve Park Ranger. Austen, thanks for hopping on. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Doing good. You reached out. You said you used to do this. And, we've been doing summer themes, but nothing's more summer. Nothing brings me back like drinking in the woods as a kid. So I figure this kind of fits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah, so we'll get into all that. Before we get into it, though, Austen, I just want to take a quick break here and talk about our friends at Roman. Most guys have tried different ways to last longer in bed, but thinking about baseball, saying the Pledge of Allegiance in your head, counting backwards from 10, it doesn't always work. So the folks at Roman, an online men's health company, they're changing the game with the Roman swipes, and it's a secret to longer-lasting sex. So the Roman swipes are clinically proven as a way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and fast-acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. Just take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry, and you're good to go. That's it. To get your hands on them, all you got to do is go to GetRoman.com/walk. You get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/walk. Go get your Roman, folks. I mean, you listen to the show, Austen. I mean, everyone should know this by now. Stop using the old methods. Get with the times. Go to Walmart. Get your Roman swipes. Get your Roman condoms. Get your Roman products, whatever you need. Or go online, use that promo code so we sent you. GetRoman.com/walk. All right, so Austen, I guess first and foremost, do you hate being called a tree cop? Have you ever been called a tree cop?
Tree cop, or the other one is a pine pig. That's another good one too. Yeah, so
I don't think I ever heard that one.
Yeah, so I guess that's kind of it varies from district to district, and I don't know how Cook County is, but DuPage County, where I was at, the park rangers were actually split between community service and education, and then law enforcement rangers. So your LE guys, those were the guys that they were sworn in officers for the state of Illinois, and could arrest people and all that. That wasn't my cup of tea. I liked going out and being able to hang out with the people and kind of be howdy doody ranger a little bit more. And I was with the community service and education department, so we didn't get the pine pig or the tree cop as much as maybe the LE guys did.
Ah, okay. So what did your side entail then, mostly?
So I always say if it happened in a forest preserve, we dealt with it in some capacity. So we ran programs. So we teach archery, teach fishing, do kids field trips, all that stuff. But we were all certified wildland firefighters. We'd go out patrol the preserves, make sure that nothing too bad is that someone rolls over in their kayak. We got to go help them out. Someone falls through the ice, we got to help them out. Any injured wildlife, that was kind of our shtick.
Gotcha. So there wasn't much of you chasing kids out drinking in the woods then, huh?
And that's why I didn't go law enforcement. I didn't have it in me to bust kids that were doing the same thing that I did when I was their age. So,
how'd you get into it? Were you like a recreation major or something?
So I went to University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, which probably cranks out more park rangers and game wardens than just about any other college in the country. But I was a biology major, and I grew up hunting and fishing and spending time in the outdoors. So it was always something that I wanted to do. So I was fortunate to get a job straight out of college and was an intern, and then got a full-time job soon after that.
Why? Is there like a good program there? Why do they produce the most?
Yeah, they have a really good natural resources program there. And it's one of the few colleges that actually has a natural resource law enforcement major. So you could go there. I mean, like everybody there is either hippy dippy, super tree hugger, or super hunts and fishes. So everyone there is kind of in the outdoors.
Do those people feud the hippy dippies and the hunters?
I not much. I think everyone likes nature enough that that's the one thing. And it is central Wisconsin, so everyone's drunk enough where I don't think it matters.
Yeah, no, that's true. Is there like a thing where being afraid of the woods, is that like one of the first things they tell you, like, hey, you can't do that? Or is this something where like, were you ever in there at night, or does it sound like you were mostly on the day side? Because obviously kids aren't shooting archery during the nighttime. So
I guess it depended on the time of year because my shift started at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. So, in the winter, it doesn't get light out till 9:30. So half your shift, it's dark out in the woods. And I mean, it is a little spooky depending on where you're at, especially if you're out on foot and have to go to some spots. It's a little spooky, but again, if you choose that career path, I think you're pretty okay with going out in the woods. But you hear some stuff, and definitely there's some critters out there, even in DuPage County and Cook County, that can mess you up pretty good.
Yeah, I always say that too. The people who hunt, I don't know how they will up the courage to go into the woods when it's dark like that.
Yeah, I hunt myself, and I that is my least favorite part about hunting. And even if you are carrying, a bow or a firearm, yeah, it is still terrifying sometimes when you hear stuff walking around in the woods behind you.
Dude, yeah, you really have to be pretty brave just to walk in there, dude. It's so damn dark. So have you ever caught anything that's was kind of scary? You seen a drifter in there? What do you see in there?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is in all honesty, I mean the scariest thing is people.
Yeah.
That you run into some people in there, and one of the things that we'd have to do is early in the morning is check the bathrooms at all the forest reserves, and a fair amount of times you run into homeless folks that most of the time they were pretty cool, but sometimes you could get them on a bad day and might get a little ornery with you. But for the most part, they're good. One of those the things that, well, besides people, which is probably the scariest, is the critters that may have been injured overnight, and then you find them in the morning, and then they're real angry. So that could be kind of sketchy too.
What critter falls into that territory? What have you found that's been like that?
Well, and this is a very unfortunate thing within, being in an urban area with forest reserves, is people love to take, like, say you put a trap in your backyard, you got skunks under your deck or a raccoon under your deck. Well, most people don't know how to, like, get them out. So they'll just leave them in the cage and throw them in the forest reserves. And then it's our job to get them out of there and deal with them in the morning.
Ah, so you'll just see caged skunks who have been there for who knows how long.
Yeah, it could be overnight, and then, you get other stuff too. You might get a deer that got hit by a car the night before and is, kind of laying down, and you got to deal with that too. So, I mean, and that's the beauty of being a park ranger. It is no two days are the same.
What are you trained to do in that situation, a deer that was hit by a car?
So I guess it depends on what kind of the state of the situation is. If it poses like an imminent danger, I would probably call one of the law enforcement guys, and they would, I guess what would be the most proper term to use, euthanize it on site would be what they would do.
Okay, put it out to pasture.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, if it's if you're over at Blackwell and the thing's walking towards the highway, it's probably gonna have to take care of that thing pretty quick before somebody hits it again.
So out of all the little small critters, like I'm terrified of raccoons. I'll be honest with you. Like I tell people, taking out the garbage is a daytime activity, because those fuckers, you come out there and there's a pack of 8 of them, and they jump out at you. I'm not dealing with that. So
no, they got little hands too. It's terrifying.
So what's them skunks, possums, coyotes to you? What do you think poses the greatest threat, or what do you know poses the greatest threat?
So none of them really pose a big threat. The only time that they pose a threat, well, and I would say the one that I least like to handle is actually none of those. It's actually feral cats. So street cats are like the absolute worst. They are mean. They have claws. They have teeth, and they are not afraid of people.
Are you kidding? Really?
They're super mean. Oh yeah, like street tomcats. Yeah, they are nothing to be messed with. But I mean, raccoons, they're pretty bad. I mean, anything that has like distemper, which is similar to rabies, so they get their brain kind of gets fried, and then they get real not scared of people, and that could always be an issue when that happens.
Wow. So, Phil, didn't we just let loose a bunch of feral cats to kill the rat population in Chicago? That's kind of concerning.
I'm sure that they did, and those, I have. The feral cats have a lot of issues. I mean, I guess it's good for the rats, but they also kill like more songbirds than any other animal on Earth.
No shit.
Yeah, so they're the biggest risk to native bird populations. Weird little nature fact there.
What will like a rabid raccoon do? What's that kind of?
They get on their back legs and they'll try and get big and like scare you off. But I mean, they'll just turn around and bite you. Like if you try and grab them by the tail or something or move them, they'll just turn around and bite the heck out of you. And they got some big teeth on them.
So if it's getting big like that's like a telltale sign that it's rabid.
No, if it's rabid or has another disease called distemper,
Yeah.
what they'll do is they'll normally like walk in circles, or you'll see them like out in open areas. Like one thing I see a lot with skunks is like, and you've been to the parks, I'm sure, is, you got the picnic areas where it's just mowed grass and picnic tables and stuff. And all of a sudden you'll have a raccoon or a more likely skunks that are just walking around, just like people all around, and they're walking around not, knowing where they are. And that's usually a sign of distemper or potentially rabies.
Yeah, so the ones if they don't mind people as much.
Yeah, and they'll walk in circles, they'll bump into stuff because their brain's just kind of getting fried.
Damn. Have you ever had someone where you had a call on a emergency who had rabies or got bit by
I've never had a rabies, thankfully. I did get bit by a skunk one time though.
You did?
Oh yeah, I got bit in the hand by a skunk one time.
How did
that was
that
out in
happen?
Wooddale actually. So it's actually kind of a funny story. There was the trout fishing derby, one of the big events for the Forest Reserve District, and I get a call. There's an injured skunk in the north parking lot, so I go over there and I see this skunk, and it's kind of walking along the curb. Looked like it had been hit by a car. I'm like, oh man, and it looked like it was kind of, its back legs were messed up, probably paralyzed. So I creep up on it, make sure it couldn't spray. It didn't spray. Either it had sprayed and ran out of juice, or it just was so messed up it didn't want to spray me. And I was wearing gloves, thankfully, but I reached down to pick this thing up, and it clamped onto my hand. And I'm not going to lie to you, I flinched pretty good, and I yeeted this skunk about 10 feet in the air. But I pulled my hand back, and it hung onto the glove, and the glove flew off my hand with the skunk. And yeah, so that was an interesting one to explain to all the little kids that were looking on to me as I was doing that.
Did it break skin or did the glove?
It probably did, and in all honesty, I probably should have went in and got a rabies shot, but I was like, kind of just scuffed me a little bit, and I wasn't too worried about it. So
Yeah. Damn. What happened from there? It died or what?
From that point, I just kind of I scooped it up, kind of put it in a little 5-gallon bucket and just let it go in the woods, and I'm sure it didn't make it, but the circle of life.
Yeah, circle of life. Someone will eat that fucker. That's for sure. So that early though, going back to the fucking scary nighttime, early night, whatever. You ever see any devil worshipping people like that? That was like a big fear.
Yeah. So actually, yes.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah, that is. So there is some. I've seen some weird stuff out in the woods, and never, you run into it at night. And the worst thing, I'll tell you, is when we get, calls over the radio, or we get information that, that there's someone that's missing, and, they were last seen at a forest reserve, or, their license plate, there's a vacant car and the person is missing, and you're always like, oh man, is today the day I'm going to find the body? Oh gosh. But, but besides that is the Voodoo Rituals. Yeah, you definitely run into, and it's not really Voodoo Rituals. It's mostly Santeria, which, obviously in the Chicagoland area, large Latino population, that is practiced in the area, but it is still kind of scary when you run into it at night. I've run into pigs' heads covered in pins and needles with, crucifixes and, burned pictures by them. You walk into it in the woods, you're like, oh, yikes. And then you run into, you see some weird stuff out there. Cows' tongues nailed to trees. Seen that too. Yeah, there's weird stuff out there sometimes.
Explain Santeria a little more. Are you more familiar with it, or what? Because I don't really.
So Santeria, it's from what I understand. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about it, but it's basically a religion practiced by like a lot of Caribbean countries and Latin American countries that it's like a combination of voodoo and Christianity. So they'll burn like effigies to, of different things and do voodoo doll stuff. So it's kind of like a combo of voodoo and Christianity.
And have you ever walked in on a ritual happening at that time, or you just saw the aftermath pretty much?
Just the aftermath. Yeah, you see some weird stuff out there. Yeah.
Anybody you know, anybody you worked with run into it, a live one? I feel like that's the scariest thing of all time.
I don't know that anyone has run into one actively, but there's also weird stuff too. Which I'll say this is the big one for those that are well, you know where Oak Brook is, right? Oak Brook, Illinois.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So there's Maze Lake, which is Peabody Estate, right there. It's right off the highway, right off of 83 there.
Okay.
And Peabody Mansion, that one is, which I did not like going in there when we'd get alarms and early in the morning, you'd have to go in there. I'm certain that place was haunted. And that was another weird one too. Yeah, you get, because that used to be like a retreat for priests
Mm.
back in the day. It was owned by Peabody. It was some oil magnate or steel magnate, and then it got turned over to the Catholic Church, which was a retreat for priests and stuff. So it's kind of real creepy place, especially early in the morning.
Yeah. No, that sounds like it could be for sure. I mean, is that sexual activity? Is that a thing that you walk in on sometimes, or?
Yeah, yeah, you see that. Oh, I mean that was very often. You run into what I would assume was either casual encounters or maybe extramarital activities. People meet at a public place, and when the car's rocking in the parking lot, or
Yeah.
so that's most of the time you let it be unless something is egregious, and then you got to go excuse me, sir, ma'am, could you not do that here? And that's about the extent of it.
Yeah. So there's nothing. So it's there. Do you shine a flashlight at them, or there's not much you could do? You said, or what?
Well, yeah, in the morning you shine a flashlight. And I think most of the time they see the truck, and they're keen on it already. You just hit the lights real quick and they know what's up. They get out of there.
And then what about people, homeless people in there? Can you tell them to leave, or is that like
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
you
and
could?
I mean, you're not, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I'm not going in there and shaking them down, but yeah, you just go in there. Hey, can you go out to the picnic bench or something like that, just so they're not, because there's a fair amount of times you'll catch them sleeping inside the bathrooms overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I mean, I'm not out here to ruin anyone's life. So if it's cold out, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, just set your stuff out there, but you got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's just interesting. It just seems like the woods are the one place where it'd be like really fair game. You know.
Well, and yeah, and I've seen some pretty elaborate like homeless encampments, like where multiple people will set up like a little village in the woods, and it is astounding what these folks come up with. I mean, it'll be like two levels. They'll have couches in there, like the whole thing set up. They'll be running, propane stoves in there. It's like it's a whole
Resourceful.
thing. Yeah, and it's real strange because it'll be like a rich suburb all around. It'll be Hinsdale or Naperville, like, all surrounding it. And then this little patch of forest, which they have no idea that there's, 10 homeless guys living in there.
Yeah. Well, they don't. They're not going in there. That's for damn
Oh,
sure.
no, no, absolutely
There's
not.
no way.
Maybe for their morning jog, but it's out of sight, out of mind, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, what about anything else? So, you're more on the hunting and fishing side. Is what's like what was a very relevant part of your day, or what's you said you had a lot of crazy stories, and you were like, oh, it's unique because I could talk about this. A lot of people can't. Well, what really
Yeah.
stuck
So
out to you?
I mean, the big ones are, is which they don't like to mention a lot. It's like the missing persons ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's not like super a lot, but there's bodies found, a good amount of times in the forest reserves. And for whatever reason, which I guess I don't know how I should say this nicely, but a lot of people like to go into the forest reserves to off themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you see that a lot, and that was, a few of my coworkers had run into that, which is never a good thing, or which was the absolute scariest thing for me, which I never wanted to run into, which happens at any public dumpster, but you get like dumpster babies. That one
Oh
always
fuck
terrified me to
yeah.
run into that,
That'd be
which I
horrible.
never did, thank God. But yeah, that one, yeah, the voodoo rituals definitely was, those are strange ones. And then another one too, which, people leaving their pets, either chained up live pets or even, I don't know if they don't want to bury them or whatever, but sometimes you'd get people leaving their dead pets out, which that's never a good day either.
Yeah, and so they're just walking will just be like a dead dog.
Yeah. And so, but that's all the bad stuff, man. You want to get all the bad stories out of me. How about all the good stuff, man? There's a lot of fun stuff that would go on. Yeah, I'm talking about dead dogs, people hanging
Yeah, no,
themselves,
I
all
mean,
that. No.
damn, yeah, that's pretty grim, man. And what, you just got to deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, you figure it out. That is one thing about being a ranger. We're kind of we're at our own mercy for sure. I mean, because we have our own, the rangers are the rangers. So we whatever you got on your truck is what you got for the day to go deal with stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess that's just how my brain thinks. I come up here and I got questions about all the bad stuff. But yeah, please tell me about some of
Yeah,
the good stuff here.
I mean, all the good stuff. I mean, doing the archery programs is always excellent. I definitely that was my favorite part was doing the programs with the kids, especially. I love doing stuff with the my big thing was fishing. That's what I love doing. So I would do a lot of the fishing programs in DuPage County, and I love being able to work with a lot of the kids with disabilities. With which fishing was a great one. You could have a kid in a wheelchair, a kid with Down syndrome, whatever. Like everyone could fish, and it
Everybody's
was
fired
always an
up when they
excellent
catch one
thing.
too.
Oh yeah, we'd get them on them for sure, and it was super cool seeing the kids. You get inner city kids from Chicago that would come out to DuPage County for a fishing program, and I swear to God, these kids probably had never seen like wildlife
Hmm.
in their entire life. It's crazy, yeah, and it was always great seeing these kids' eyes light up and all that. So that was good, and just hanging out with the people, walking around, being able to check out the preserves, keeping everything clean.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right that there's definitely a lot of cool things about nature. It's just I don't know. It's just being the nature in the Chicagoland area just is a lot different. So that's where my mind takes me to those places first. Uh,
Well, and I mean, it's 20 in DuPage County. It's kind of crazy. 15% of the county is actually forest reserve. So there's 23,000 or 26,000 acres of forest reserve in DuPage County, and 146 miles of trails within the preserve. So, I mean, there you go out to Waterfall Glen, you'd be astounded. That's like 3,000 acres almost
yeah,
down in Lamont.
I was talking to someone here. Illinois is a lot more woodland than people realize.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And even and I don't I'm not too familiar with the Cook County preserves. I know they got some good ones there, like Bussy Woods. I know that's a big one, but yeah, the ones in DuPage County, yeah, they're beautiful. You could definitely actually get out into nature. I mean, there's campgrounds there too, so you could even camp out there.
Oh, there you go. This is informational for those people too. I figure you got to go to a state park or some shit if you want to do any of that. That's why people go. What's the thing that people go? It's like an hour away. It's like kind of you got to be careful.
Starved Rock.
Yeah, Starved Rock. You got to be careful where you're walking. Right? It's pretty.
Oh, they'll pinch you on that for sure. Yeah, they'll write you a ticket the second you jump off the trail. Those guys are no joke over there.
I mean, it's because it's pretty damn dangerous, right?
Well, it's dangerous, and I think they just don't want I don't think they want the natural foliage getting trampled either.
Yeah, people get fucking around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Austin, thank you, man. Is there anything we didn't get to here that kind of you want to let the people know about? I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I would say is, for those that live in the Chicagoland area, yeah, just get out, check out the Forest Service. I mean, look it up, just Google Forest Service near me, get out, check it out, because I know I've always had a good time, and especially with COVID, who knows what's open, what's not open anymore. The Forest Service are always open. You can get away from folks, get out in nature, and it's a good thing just to calm you down a little bit rather than all the hustle and bustle.
And then I guess my last question will be: you got out of the game. Does that mean you got out of it for a reason, or would you recommend people to seek this out as a job?
So I still think it will be. I still think it's the single greatest job I've ever had, and probably ever will have. I absolutely loved it, but what I didn't love was being broke. So that is the thing is you're in DuPage County, you're in Cook County, you know how it is. It's the freaking most expensive place on earth. And you're making peanuts compared to private sector jobs. So that was the only thing.
Oh, what's like an average range for like a park ranger?
About I would say and I don't know, Cook County might be different, but starting pay in DuPage County is like 38K.
Okay, so a thankless job for sure.
Yeah, thankless job for sure. And I mean, it is a union job. It's Metropolitan Alliance of Police, so you got some good bennies. But besides that, yeah, I mean, good luck in an apartment. Most of the Rangers actually lived like, like an hour away or so, just to be able to, afford to live.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I hope you like what you're doing now, man. You're right. 38 for getting bit by a skunk. That's tough, man. So that's
yeah. Walking into Voodoo Rituals, getting bit by skunks, fighting off coyotes. Yeah, it's pretty thankless, but it's a good gig.
yeah, but yeah, like it's good for people who do it. If that's what you enjoy, that's what you enjoy. So that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, for
Thanks
sure.
again, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, brother.
All right, that's it for today, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.